Okay guys, in this video we are going to be going over how to finish up these coil pots so that we could start painting our patterns on them. I'm going to be going over how you can add a lid, how you can add a foot like this to the bottom, and also how you can start adding on handles. I know that the foot and the handles were requirements for the project, and on the first day we made these. I had you cut out a second circle. Now, for the second circle, what you're gonna do, you can kind of see down here. This piece here was my second circle. And what I have done is I just built up a very small coil pot going from here down. Now, once I have the coil pot made, I'm gonna let this little bowl rest out for a day, and then I'm gonna be able to attach it directly to the bottom of here, and it's gonna be able to support my pot. And it's really simple, just making a little coil bowl, and that'll be the foot for your vase. I think it makes it look a little bit fancier, and it definitely goes with the Greek style that we were trying to achieve. So the next thing I'm gonna do is go over how to make handles. I'm just gonna adjust this slightly so you guys can see how I'm rolling them out on the table. And we're gonna be doing a different technique that we haven't gone over yet. And this is gonna be slipping and scoring. And I'm also gonna show you how to do that along with how to make a lid. So in order to make handles, when you have a handle on something, it's usually a little bit thicker towards the top and thinner towards the bottom. So I'm gonna have you guys make coil handles because we were making coil pots. So I'm gonna have you roll out a coil, trying to make sure that one side is thinner than the other. I'm gonna break off this piece on top because I don't think I'm gonna need it. And you guys can make your handles going off your sketches. So they could be really long, elaborate handles, you could have swirls on them, or they could be tiny handles. I know some of you just had little pieces kind of sticking off the side. So there's one, and then I'm just gonna roll out another coil. Really quickly, I'm gonna break that part off because I don't think I'm gonna even use it. Now, when you're adding on handles, you want to consider the shape of your pot. So if you are trying to attach handles and you notice that they don't really match or line up, or they look kind of funny with the shape, then we'll go ahead and we could adjust and change them. And don't be afraid to roll out 3 or 4 coils and then see what works and what lines up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these 2 coils and I'm gonna go in first, and I'm just gonna cut them to trim a little bit extra off that I don't think I'm gonna be using, so that they're approximately the same size. So you should have 2 pieces that look like this, a little bit thicker on the top and then skinnier as they taper off to the bottom. Then I'm going to take my vase and I want to try to line them up as best I can to see how they're gonna fit on my pot. So I'm thinking I might do something along the lines of this on each side, so you could hopefully see over here as well. I'm gonna move the camera a little bit up and back so you guys can see as I'm attaching these. So I'm going to go in and I'm gonna line up my first coil. I wanna go from the top here and then go to the bottom. What you wanna do is you wanna go in and you wanna cut these little pieces on a diagonal so that it lines up completely flush with the vase. So I'm gonna lay this down, and I am just gonna be cutting this piece on a diagonal. And then I'm gonna go all the way down to the bottom, and I'm gonna cut it on the exact same diagonal. Now, once you've made one of these, you can go ahead in and just overlap it over your other coil and completely match the same exact diagonal cut marks that you made. So I'm gonna go in like that, and then I'm gonna go in like that. So I should have 2 completely even handles ready to attach to my pot. In order to attach these, we're gonna be doing something called slip and score. So I have slip in some of these buckets like this. Slip is pretty much just water and clay mixed together to create a ceramic glue. So this is going to help you work as an adhesive to attach your handles to your pot. So I'm going to line up my handle, and you usually want it to be a little bit heavier on the top so that when you take your hand and hold it, it's going to hold easier. And I'm going to line my handle up approximately where I want it to be. And then I'm going to go in and I'm just going to kind of trace or make little marks around where that's going to be placed. And then I'm going to make little marks at the bottom here. And I'm making these directly on my pot. Then I'm going to go in, and if you could see where I made these little marks, I'm going to add something called hatch marks, and these are just making little marks in the clay, and the slip is going to absorb in those and help you to get a stronger bond. So I'm just going to take a little bit, I'm going to attach it up there, and I'm going to attach it towards the lower half. Once I am all finished with that, I could go ahead and I can add my handle on. So I'm going to stick it onto the top first, really compress it in, and then I'm going to take my bottom part and I'm going to connect that as well. Now, if these are a little bit flimsy at first, you might want to let them just sit out a while before you go ahead and attach them on. But you do want to make sure that your handle is top heavy like this, otherwise it'll look kind of strange and it won't really be all that functional. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to add my other handle on eventually, but I'm not going to do that in this video just so I don't take up all of your time. The next and last thing I'm going to show you guys in this video is a lid. How to make a lid. There's two different types. So the first type I'm going to show you, and I'm going to take this handle off just so that I could show you a little bit easier, but that was just the basics of how to attach one. If you look at the very top of my pot here, what I did was I attached a really thick coil to the top of my vase. I then went in and I pushed down with my finger after I smoothed it in to create a dip in the clay in order for me to rest a lid in. So I spent time smoothing this, smoothing the inside so that I would have a really nice dip and be able to attach a lid. Then I went in, and as I was smoothing it, I tried to find an object that would work to fit and measure the size of my lid. So I used this jar and I set it on there, and I kind of went in and I pinched the clay around it like that in order to have something molded to it so I could cut out a circular shape. I next went in, I rolled out a slab, and then I made a circular shape like this to fit directly in there like that as a lid. Now, because this is so flat, it would be kind of hard to take off and remove. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to slip and score a little topper to it so that you could just pull it on and off as you're going to utilize this as your jar. So I'm just going to go in and make like a little pointed shape for now. I might change this as I develop this vase into its final form. But you just want to make some kind of topper. It could be a circle, it could be a triangle, something like that. And you're going to do the same exact thing. I would find approximately the center. You're going to go in and you're going to make your little marks. You're going to add a little bit of slip to the side you made your score marks on, and you're just going to stick your lid topper right on there. So it's as simple as that. Try to make sure that it's in the center, and once this dries and is fired in the kiln, you'll be able to use it and actually lift your lid up that way. So that's one way you could make your lid. That's the way to make the foot on the bottom of your pot, as well as the handles. Now, before I conclude this video, I want to show you guys one more way you can attach a top. This was a teapot that one of my previous students had made, and they made a lid a little bit differently, and this is a perfectly fine way to make a lid. If you had your pot coiled up to the top like this, and you simply just want to make a lid that overlaps it rather than sets in, all you have to do is make a little piece like this, and you could stick it directly into the pot and it'll fit on like that. So rather than having an inset lid, you could just take a coil or 2 coils and then you could set it in like that. So those are the 2 different types of lids you could make. Also, you guys do want to have a foot and handles on here, so I'll work with you each individually to go over that. But this is pretty much what we're going for in the end. If you don't have a lid on it, that's fine, but you do want to make sure you have handles, even if they're just little handles or little pieces of clay coming out the side. So that concludes this video, and I hope you guys